Hello, everybody. Sorry for taking a little bit longer to get to this, but I got a lot of submissions and I didn't really want to not talk about any of them. It feels just like fundamentally kind of wrong. So I'm going to have to find a way to give a little bit of feedback to everybody, but also touch on deeper on a few pieces. First of all, let's get some distractions out of the way. That's better. So this is what I pulled from the submissions that you before I closed off. Um, First of all, thank you so much to everybody. We're going through a little bit of a difficult time globally, and doing cool things, useless cool things like for not for money, not for career advancement, just helping each other out at the moment. I think has a big karmic impact. So it was a really big boost to see interest, and I hope I can give a lot back to every single one of you with this video. I don't know how long this is going to be. It might be a little bit long. I might have to do it in two parts, but actually I want to talk about every single submission that I got in the first round. So let's go through some learnings already. Next time I'm gonna ask people to probably upload a clean PNG. 1 pixel is 1 pixel, and no resizes. Just so we don't have to go through like destructive editing, making PNGs out of JPGs and resizing stuff. I'm going to be doing a lot of resizing and kind of palette cleaning, I expect when we get into the Pixel program. But one thing we learned for next time, if there isn't a next time, and I think there probably will be, is to upload clean files, not just like DM them in Twitter in a format that we all agree, PNG, non-destructive, 1-to-1 pixels, clean palette, stuff like that. But this is also part of the beginner pixel artist learning how to keep their stuff kind of in a good format. So it will be valuable to go through a few examples and do the cleanup and all that. So that's one learning. To those of you that are not very familiar with the critique process for pixel art, we've been like a lot of people have been doing this for a while online, but sometimes it can go overboard. It can feel like it can feel bad to get your stuff changed by a stranger, somebody that you might respect, or you might also kind of like be intimidated by. I don't want to do any of that. I'm going to be very gentle with how I touch your art, and I'm going to start up front by saying that I like all your pieces. Everybody has given me beautiful submissions that I have many positive things to say about. So this is not some sort of teacher, or anyway, it's not some sort of a person you're supposed to dread and to admire, or all this nonsense. We are everybody that's touching pixels is my friend, especially if they touch pixels with love and they place them with a desire to give love and beauty and hope to the world. You know, the basic artist raison d'être, if you'd like, reason for existing. So any pixel artist is my friend, and we are peers. We sit next to each other, and we all place our pixels in this infinite canvas together. So I want to help you, and I don't want to intimidate you or discourage you. And if I do, if I say things or change your pixels in such a way that it is intimidating or discouraging, please let me know, and I will do better in the future. This is not about my ego and about me being better at pixel art than you. This is about the opposite. This is about teachers teaching and students learning, but also teachers being students and students being teachers. What I mean by that, so it doesn't sound like weird rambling, is that most of what I've learned about pixel art wasn't by studying masters. It was by doing this, sending critique back and forth with other peers and inspiring each other. So you are making me better by sending me all this stuff, and we're going to look at it. And hopefully I can make you a little bit more technically adept, or process adept, or at least inspired. Third note before we start getting into the art, because I'm already rambling, is I am a professional pixel artist. I've put food on the table for many years by doing pixel art, so I am fast and I know process, and I use my tools in a certain way to get production results, get an asset that we can stick in a video game fast. Some of you are in this place as well, or you want to get in this place. You want to be a pro, or you are a pro, or you want to make assets for video games, pixel art assets. However, this time I'm not going to focus so much on career skills. I'm going to focus on artistic skills. And the reason I will do that is because artistry connects all of us, Not all of us want to be professional pixel artists. Not all of us make pixel art for games. But the artistry of the form connects us all. And I want to focus on that. We are artists. Every single one of you is an artist. You are also craftsmen, or craftswomen, and everything else in between. And I love you all. But you are also artists. And it's okay to conceptualize yourself as an artist. It's important. So I will treat all your art like art. Yeah? Okay. Now, what kind of crazy person goes into a... this is something that a person from the Commodore 64 scene told me once. Like, we were giving them feedback on a piece they made, and they wrote underneath, do you go to a museum and write underneath every picture you see your thoughts and your feedback? And they were totally right. If it's a museum, it's a museum. Although sometimes museums need to be burned down. But if it's a museum, it's a museum. This is not a museum process. We are not trying to create distance from each other. We're not trying to create proximity. So even though it's art and it's artistry, we're going to be a little bit punk rock and kind of change a few things and see how we like them. Take everything with a grain of salt. You don't need to agree with me. You can totally disagree with me. Let's see if at least if it's inspiring. So I'm going to go through everything, I think. For some of them, I'll look at them and mess with them a little bit and talk about them. Other ones, I might do a little bit of a deeper dive, but I want to touch on every single one of it because I want to talk to all of you. You are very gracious to give me your stuff to look at. So it didn't sit right to be like, I'll pick 3 and, no. So let's start. Gurje. So, oh yeah, the customary disclaimer, I may butcher your screen name and feel free to shout at me for it. I know that real names and also taken names are important. So as a Greek, I would say Gurj. As a Balkan person, I would say Gurje. I don't know. You let me know. George, this is beautiful. So it's also 4 times as big as it needs to be for us to critique it. So let's take it into this program called Promotion, which is a pixel program, and look at it in there. I've already, I think, resized this one before I started recording. Look at this beautiful eye. Oh my God, look at it's gorgeous. Anyway, so yeah, 1 to 1 pixels. This is our current palette. I don't know if this is what you were looking at when you made this. Let's see. What if I sort? Oh yeah, technical things. You may not use or have ever seen Promotion, but whatever you use, even if it's Paint, perhaps, or Photoshop, one could say, but definitely a sprite or graphic scale or, oh, that's a deep cut for some of you, graphic scale. Anything you're using, you probably can do the things I'm doing. And if you cannot, perhaps there's a reason a pixel artist, like by trade, would use a program that can do these things. But I will explain the functionality of everything I do. So here in the corner, I'm going to go to Functions, Sort by brightness. Oh my God, what happened here? What you're looking at is this being put in an order, yeah? But this hasn't been remapped yet, because that's how an indexed palette works. But if I click Remap, now everything's fine. Now if I change one of these colors, you can see it dynamically change in the picture. This is very important. Being able to slide or control and get what you see is what you get is how you do a lot of minute palette manipulation. I don't have time to go into too much detail at the moment, and there's way too many colors in this piece. So perhaps something got crunched. You know, when something got distracted. I don't know. Distracted is not the word. So let's do this again. We select everything, Functions, Sort by brightness. We remap, and then we kind of want to see. Just so we can edit it, I'll do things you shouldn't usually do. I'm gonna modify channel bit depth just so I can pare this down. I could do also this, but it's a bit more destructive. I think this is a better way to start. It can be like, we can look perceptually. When we take channels out, are we losing any colors? Are we getting better separation? This is a good step. Look at the face. Oh, this became a bit, but it's okay. We'll keep it 555. I think I'm okay with it. You can also stretch it to, I think I'm not going to stretch it in this case. Bits, there's a technical explanation about what bits are. RGBA. How do you explain this to layman as fast as possible? 1 bit is 2 colors, black and white, or if you can say a color is lit up or a color is off, you know, ones and zeros. 2 bit is when the information of one pixel and the potential colors that it has in there is governed by 2 bits. So as we got on with computer technology, we started with less bits, and now we're up to like 888 and plus 8 for alpha. And if you do the math, you will realize what a high color display is supposed to be. So now we're going to go back into the, just so historically you understand a few things. 555 would be, if memory serves, an Amiga, or potentially a DOS machine, I think. An Amiga could be 444, or depends if it's an AGA chipset or whatever. Let's not get into the crazy details. We stretched, which means now colors, I can remove duplicate colors. Already a few things are missing. I'm going to remap so they get fixed. I'm going to also remove unused. Okay, so still, this is not amazing in terms of a palette. I'll explain why. We'll remap by brightness. We've got a lot of close colors, yeah? This is pixel art primer for everybody. If I do this, you see where in the picture those colors are. There are very few here in the corner. What's the difference between this color and this color? Let's find out. Hold on, go out. There's better ways to see every active pixel, but this is what oh, this is just like 6 pixels there in the mouth. So what would a pixel artist do? They would take, this is the slow way, but hey, I do this for 20 years like this, so get off my back. We would go like this and paste it. And now they're the same color. And if you go now to colors, remove, duplicate, one of them will go away. There's so much here that can be condensed. I'm not going to go through it because that will literally take an hour by itself. Perhaps we could also do reduce and see how we feel with, looking at this perceptually, I would say 16. Yeah? Let's see what the promotion thinks. Nope, we lost stuff. That's a problem with, of course, you can do way better reduction in Photoshop and any other like dedicated program that is like, oh, we're losing a lot of stuff. I'll go to the classics and then we'll stop with the reduction. I'll do 32 as well to see if that's any better. We could use the Babelizer for stuff like this, but that's an old tool. Let's see. No, we'll lose that. Even if we go though, until we find it, until we get the face to look the same between the two sides, let's say 64. Yeah, we lost a little bit, but let's say, do you see this? Now immediately this is more manageable. Even if it's just a straight ramp from brightness, also you can see I can ramp in many different ways. Yeah. Anyway, that one I didn't need to do. Anyway, so now also we get to see close ones better here. That's why I have a big palette. There's so many. I think something in the editing was like, but let's talk to the actual picture now and not to the colors. All this to show you what a person has to do when they get an asset. And it's not like controlled from the beginning all the way to beginning to end. When I say controlled, is like intentionally making indexes and saying where I can reuse my indexes and keeping it clean. Then you have to go through these things if you want to change it, if you are minded, like a detail-minded like I'm. That's okay though. If you want to work with a lot of colors, you're just going to have to go a bit slower and you're going to have to accept a little bit of mess. Mess is not the end of the world. Pixel artists generally try to keep mess manageable, but now let's look at the picture. The picture is beautiful. I think you got some reference for the face, and I think you've hit something about the reference, like an austerity and a resignation and a sadness that talks to me. I love this eye. I think could it be that you started here? Because I think this is your best clustering. And the chainmail actually is quite, at a distance, is quite impressionistic. It does give the right impression, and I like it. We could go and sort this texture, this clusters a lot, and perhaps we should. But there is a merit to accepting this impression. You know, back in the day, I would hound you about finishing your stuff, but now I won't. I will say to you, this is beautiful art as it is. But I would like to look at a few clusters just. To see, like, when you've got something that is so harmonious here, and then you've got a couple of pixels here, they although obviously they belong to the tapering of this cluster. Let's just call them clusters, or group of same colored pixels. When they start tapering off, for me, it starts. Do you see that this becomes a little bit blurry compared to the sharpness of everything else? Like it also implies some sort of dip. And the closer you go, then it starts to look like noise, like there's well, not noise, but at least disconnected stuff. And you do some fades, like for me, then we have banding here. Yeah, we have to find a solution that is halfway. I think that's a better connection. There is, of course, I have a second zoom window here. I probably should put it to 2x, but pixel artists do this a lot as well. I wish I could cap this so it doesn't go over 100%, but less than 100%. But so there's a few singles that create like you can be even more. Just be whenever you reach this kind. Although we changed the hair expression a little bit here now, even in a bit. So whenever you see situations like this, you could ask yourself in this path that you're down on of like making everything interconnect. Like, do I really need to start breaking my shape and adding singles? For example, here you can see I can stagger some relationships. If we that changes your expression as well. She reminds me of the face of the artist Lingua Ignota. Anyway, there's usually choices you can make about this very, very precise changes that kind of can clean up. Also, this is very close. We could push this up a little bit. Not now. If I start messing with the colors, see we are bit locked, so I can't push it. That's interesting. So there's places where you abandon. See here, you abandon like the sharpness and the cleanness, and you go for more rounded detail and more kind of like faking a lower resolution than what pixels actually are capable of, which is okay. It's it's the way most people pixel. And there's places like the curve of the nose where you have to be really careful with anti-aliasing. So this is another solution for things like this. But do you see that's also blurry and kind of bad blurry in a different way? Because this is these kind of clusters are line, and there's another line over here, so it starts giving the wrong impression, I think. Sometimes it's just better to commit to your curve. It's okay. See, I don't think we need this and this, for example. One pixel here. So this is very dark, so perhaps at this point, see, you have to work on the other side as well to bridge the gap. If I do stuff like this, I don't love it, to be honest here. But it does look. It's not bad. It's not a bad way to anti-alias that bit. But since I started with the sharpness, I want to see if we can get this to a place where we are comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with it without. We have this outline that kind of. Do you want that? Perhaps you do. It's the rounded part of the nose. So let's just ditch the anti-aliasing completely. See, for the kind of piece that is, I actually prefer the sharp edge, but your mileage may vary, as they say. Another cool thing you can do here, do have a pure white to give. This is just tricks. Yeah. Yes, my friend, do you understand this? I don't need to explain this very much. When you've got this like nice Desage palette, not both perhaps, but like it just immediately gives life, moisture. Moisture is the essence of wetness, and wetness is the essence of beauty. Well, that's a bit harsh, but this is a different technique, like oil painting, like specular highlights. But beautiful. I'm not gonna sort this for you. If you wanted to sort this, yes, you would have to actually go in and figure out, like, or use a pattern tool in some way, like in Photoshop, to figure out the right shapes. But perhaps I think in some way you were right to go for this approach for something like this, because it just seems like glimmering silver and gold in the twilight. Like, so it's a beautiful art piece. So I'm not gonna solve the rings for you. But yes, like if I was making the piece, I would go in as a rational, at least somebody who has fantasies of rationality and kind of like make every ring, interconnect every ring. Try to keep it single free, stuff like that. But we're not going to do this now. We just wanted to look at it and commend you on the beautiful art you created. First of all, the palette, like the softness and the emotion of the human being. This is something that I want to really emphasize on for everybody that's watching. I know this is your highlight, by the way, but it works here as well. Um, the humanity. We're making art, so immediately you make me so happy when you show me something with humanity and emotions and a story, an implied story a little bit here. Why? Who's this person? Why are they pensive? Even the fact that you look at a piece of art and you have to think about the word pensive when it's your first language means something is going on. So thank you for sending this in. I think you're well on your way as an artist and as a pixel artist. This is messy. It's a messy style, and it's actually a contrast between some very controlled work, some places where your technique breaks down and you just go with regular assumptions about pixel art, and some places where you decided to be, let me destroy this because it just devalues the piece. And some places where you decided to be a little bit less detail oriented and less like I am a machine making the real world real, and more like this will do. A dash of detail will do. I like it. I think you should push your style in every direction. Get more technical, get less technical, get more embroidered and rococo and detailed, but also get even less obsessed with rendering and a little bit more about you go even deeper in your moods, I think. But everything with a grain of salt. I don't know you. I don't know what the art director or part of your brain was thinking exactly when they were making this. So I'm just interpreting and also sometimes projecting a little bit. Another, sorry. Now I'm just looking at it and thinking about it as a person that. Oh, let's show you another thing that this can do. When I got a big palette, I can. Instead of trying to, I have this, I know that say this here, and I could move up and down on my keyboard. Actually, I should explain this more, but that's more important. Let's go back to Paint. Do you see my mouse pointer? Look at what's happening to the mouse pointer. I'm going through all the indexes with keys on the keyboard. Yeah? This is really important because step one for anybody that wants to be process fast, your mouse pointer stays here. It doesn't go here. Will have to go here sometimes, but ideally, as you're pushing things around, like I know that I'm at this color, I'm at the keyboard, and I wanna, well, I could also reduce my, if I remember how, reduce my the size of my pointer without going to the, but I don't remember how to do that. So let's say that I'm here and I want to make this a little bit brighter. I just use the mouse. I'll just use the keyboard while my hand is doing work. So you see, this is very important. It'll save you years of your life if you're a professional to not have to change your indexes as you go. Keep that in mind. I just did like, I don't even know how long on this first piece, and I have to go through 20 more. So even though I would love to go even deeper with this stuff, I hope I have inspired you a little bit. I have to thank you so much for sending me your beautiful submission. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out, and I'll try to explain as best I can in more detail and less rushed pace. Now we will go to piece number 2 by Jake. Jake Watts. This is beautiful. This is heavily dithered. Let's just look at it and enjoy it for a moment. I love art so much. I'm so happy that this is one. Hey, do you want to show me some art? And you just send me beautiful art. So emotions again. This is art. Regardless of technique, somebody, Jake in this case, decided to convey some emotions. And a lot of us draw when we're kids and then we stop. But pixel art is such a good tool for being like, if you asked a lot of people that are artistically inclined to draw me a well, draw me a tree, draw me some mountains and some birds coming, that's a lot of overwhelming things to research. But if you tell them it's a very small canvas, very few colors, and it has this like pixel stuff, then it's somehow that unlocks the creativity. And somebody goes, well, yes, a well is a circular construction with some beams and a little, it just somehow becomes manageable when you have 1, 2, 3, 4 pixels to make a beam. I love this about pixel art. I love it because that pushed our friend Jake here to have 1, 2, 3 colors here, 4, to go through, and 5. Actually, is it 5 colors? Or I think it's just 5 colors to fade from middle distance into the abstract space of far distance and mountains. And they did this with 3 colors. I love this. So perhaps we should look at this a little bit in the program just to see how it was made, because See, this is a pixel artist that operates in a more old school kind of like paradigm. So I'm not going to go too much into the technique because dithering is a big subject. Only to say I find this very successful. Some places where it's not that successful is where the shapes of these beings. Oh, it is 4 times x. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, I'm not gonna pixel edit this one. I could resize. I'm just to say the way the dither patterns interplay with them when they are offset, when they're inside, creates blobs instead of dither plus bird. When they are on the dither pattern, they're a bit too sharp, almost like an error. What is sharpness? Sharpness means that this color has this jump next to a very bright color, and then even better, which is an unsharp mask effect. We go back darker for one. So these 3 pixels are unsharp masked to heck and back. And you can see it here. Do you see how much this punches out compared to the softness of things around it? Do you see how much this pixel punches out? So these are the problems that come with dither pattern on the background and then stuff on top. You could try to orchestrate your details so it doesn't fall on top of a lot of patterned detail behind it, but you're always going to have a few problems like this with dither, the 50% checkerboard dithering. That's what this is. There's other dither patterns. Let me show you how promotion helps you do dithers. So if I press Control T, I get paint mode settings, and here I already have, this is the 50-50, and as you can see, you can actually change them one by one and say this is how dense I want this to be. I don't use these patterns much, but it's interesting to see, what was it, 26? I don't remember what this was. Anyway, so if I went here, that's interesting to look at. And I make a brush, let's make it big, huge, even though it's not the right, you will understand. This is paint mode, but this is dither mode. Yeah, and I can go in and be like, oh, sorry. Well, press OK, or this. I can go in and say, this is like this, and go down the steps, and this is like this. This is not down because I changed it, but do you see? So there's a lot of stuff you can do with dither pattern brushes, but personally, I don't use a lot of 50% dithering because it creates these problems. It creates what my friend Sven, toying from the scene, toing, calls dither AA clash. I don't know if that's the right term, but what it always reminds me of is when you place things on top of dithers, on the side of dithers, the pixels used to clarify your shapes and to convey information will have a rough time with the dither. Sometimes that can be used creatively, sometimes not. On this edge, some of the noisy you added actually helps bridge some gaps. I see you can trying to do it here. For further reference for you, I would recommend you look a lot at Sierra AGI games, the original Sierra games like King's Quest 1, 2, 3, Space Quest 1, 2, 3. I don't remember exactly when they go SCI. I think Space Quest 3 is SCI. But anyway, why AGI? And this actually SCI and the second era of Sierra Adventures when they were 16 colors EGA, but the backgrounds were made with a vector tool. So instead of everything being placed by pixel, they would dither between the available 16 colors to get other shades. So the Sierra had to mathematically solve a lot of like early 3D, well, fake 3D, like 2D with depth backgrounds for very few colors with a lot of dithering. And you will learn a lot by looking at the beautiful backgrounds of, say, Quest for Glory 1, Erana's Peace. I am showing my age, but these are good things to look at as a pixel artist. They will inspire you. Now, just looking at it and a few more words like about the mood. Have you considered that perhaps less of the clouds could open up some of the space? Actually, I will do this really fast. Sorry if this is ham-fisted and a little bit ridiculous to do. I apologize. I just want to see if we took away, not all of it, but some of it. Here, just opened it up a little bit and let I would fade them as well. Like now, no, don't doing pixel art, but you know what I mean. Like further away in the distance, smaller sample of the pattern, but also even going to the color that you were using for the textures. Well, like, why am I doing the same pattern? What's another? This is another good bird pattern, and let's say trying to get hierarchy, like these are too close. I'm not gonna go into how we design things. That's not about pixel art. That's like just general graphic design. Like this is terrible. I just made the same sample, same. Just it looks copy pasted, which it shouldn't. So the next one should be like I don't know. And you make them brush half the brush edge. I don't know what I'm doing there. But you know, besides all this nonsense, you know what I mean? Like, open this up a little bit. Perhaps let the birds come from the mist. But you know, that makes it a little bit of a different painting. And who am I to tell you how your painting should look like? Just wanted to convey the information. I would perhaps invite the viewer here. I'm not in the right res, but you know what I mean. I would put a little highlight at the lip of the, just so it makes me want to go over there and look inside. Perhaps this one also needs a gleaming eye of some sort when you get there. But also you can just keep it soft and implying as it does now. It's beautiful, and thank you for sending it in. I do think that you are using a small palette as a emancipatory tool, like as a tool for freedom, which is a very core concept for limited artworks done for pixel art. Like there's a reason that we constrain ourselves so we can free ourselves. However, I can also sense that underneath your stylization with a few colors, you could work a little bit on looking at reality, looking at reference more like what is a tree, not what it is, saying this is a tree, I'm looking at a tree, actually forgetting what you're looking at and only looking at plain texture, light, saturation, pattern, contrast between shapes. Like learn to look at the world, not at symbols. There's a little symbolic logic here. Like this is a symbol of a mountain a little bit, and this is more rendered, but it's a symbol of a well. If you look at a well with your eyes open, you will pick up more. And then that will drive you into an ambition to find a way to convey all that extra information in the few pixels that you have available. This is the quest. Now you're being a little bit symbolic, and that's good. But if you want to grow more, even if you end up being symbolic again, I would recommend taking the plunge and really trying to convey what you're looking at with pixel art for a while. Take or leave this. I don't know you. I don't know your path. This is what I would do in your place, but that's a lot of psychological projection. So let's just leave it at it's a beautiful piece of art. It has a nice palette actually. The palette is a big part of the emotional content, I think. And we could let me show you something. Should I? No, I don't have time. I would change. I would make like a few different palettes and I would remap to different palettes, but I have to go through other things. Excuse me. So I hope I gave you some inspiration, and I want to thank you very much for sending in your work. So, hey, Mephi6. Let's look at this little fella. It's cute. We can talk a little bit of pixel art technique here. I think more because it's just small and just very for anybody that has worked with banding and single pixels and orphans. This is immediately like we can work together on this. But first of all, swag, nice drip, nice. I read a penguin. I hope it's a penguin, but it could be a blue bird. This is important. Like when somebody shows you art, you have to go like, well, you don't have to, but it's useful to you to say, what am I seeing? I'm seeing a bird. I think it's a penguin, but it could be something else because this is clothed. So if it was white, then I would say it's a penguin. They're wearing fancy clothes, some puffy jacket. They're wearing bling, actually. For all I know, they're a hot rapper. They have thin little Super Brother style legs. Yeah, and have this expression. I love it. I am gonna clean it up though for you. I think a little bit at least. Where are we? One. What is it? Oh, it's so big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at my life. Let's do it. Oh, thank you. Actually, it's gonna make it easy. Is it 80 by 80? No, something got crunched. What did I do wrong? Oh, hold on. Did I click maintain? Yeah. What's the frame size? Wasn't it 8 to 1? Nope, I did something wrong. Let's see again. What's a pixel here? So am I an idiot? What sort of idiot? If it's 8 to 1, then it should be... You see? I'm really stupid. That sort of idiot. Pretend like you didn't see this happen. Or at least allow yourself this truth. Some people become artists because they can't do this math thing. So I'm gonna be a little bit a nice palette as well. It's very clean, so I don't need to do anything like that. I'm gonna go a little bit fast, and I'll explain myself less than usual. I think this guy needs, or girl, needs a little bit more head. First of all, why? Because I think it was the detail was squished, and the eyes needed a little bit more space to live. I like this highlight, but it is banding. Now, banding. What is banding? What is this word? Why do pixel artists care about nonsense? This is a shape, and then there's another shape of buffer. I would call this a buffer color. You know, like it's between. It's not used anywhere else on its own, so it's kind of like a buffer. You could use it elsewhere on its own, but we'll talk about it later. And then you did the outline is hugging. What to say by hugging is, you see there's a break here. Look at this. Be real. Let's do this. There is no break here. This is the color, this is the color. It's very sharp, but it's two. But when we put a hugged outline, it starts to create these problems where it emphasizes these lines between the pixels, the grid, so to speak. So this is banding, and it creates a lot of problems down the line. And also the solutions that people do for banding also create problems. So I'm going to take the spirit of this highlight, first of all, because I think it's a little bit big for his head. Also, I would probably, for a sprite like this, probably like center the light, but let's keep it as you have it. And this is another thing that people could do when they don't mind singles. What I mean by singles is this and this are not connected. They have like an adjacency, but they're not connected. And this is a good visual illusion to buffer this way, and it was what pixel art did for the biggest amount of time, and it really also bleeds with on a CRT monitor, so you don't really see it. From 1x, we can't tell anything. From 2x, we start seeing that there is some sort of anti-aliasing around, but the shape is robust. The moment we start getting closer, now it starts to become blurry. And the moment we start actually counting the pixels, then this starts to become distracting. So what I would actually do for a highlight like this, I think, would be... No, we don't like this shape for this dude. Or, I don't know. Could we somehow retain the roundiness? It may be actually also about changing the values, softer values, but... Or, actually, sometimes when you edit, you get lost in the original detail. Let's say, where would I place this on my own? I think I would place it here, or... This is too low for the light source. He actually becomes a little bit... No, we're changing your character. Although they're kind of blasé to begin with. No, we could put it... To be honest, this would be kind of enough. That's a specular. If you start doing this, you're creating a new body of color and you're mixing your key. Like is this now the key or is this now the key? I think this is the key. And this is a specular. So let's treat it like a specular. Some selective outlining for you here to understand the concept. So as we're going towards light source, the outline itself is going to try to adjust, while making the transition into the other one. Oh, staircases. Some people say, "Die," or not die, but like, "How dare you, heathen? I will do what I want," and I'll explain why, and then you can make your own mind up. Very briefly, I want to talk about something. This is a one-to-one pixel. This line, perceptually for me, if you blur your eyes, it looks thinner than this line because maths. I'm not going to try to explain to you. This is not a this cluster, if you want to call it, or this line is not a single pixel. It's less than a pixel in a certain way. However, this is certainly fatter than this, but this is safer for me because now this makes sense. It is over a pixel, but not under a pixel, so it doesn't create confusion. If these things sound a little bit esoteric, you'll hear variations of them as we go through all the pieces, hopefully. So just let it be in your mind for a moment and see how you feel later about the staircases. At the moment, they can be a little bit jarring, but they on the whole, when used consistently, they show a different sort of robustness. Now, so for some reason, I'm inclined to kind of like get your character a little bit more symmetrical. I don't know why, but I'll keep it. So now, same problem here, like this beak. I want to think about the shape of the beak and take out like outlines that just become blur and just like don't really help convey the shapes. So it's I think what you want is sorry. I press F to go to fill tool, but I have forgotten because I haven't pixeled in a while. What is dot? Dot is P. No. Anyway, I still remember that the F is fill tool to contrast it, but I think still in the end I would use a shadow. What are you doing? I'm wondering about this angle now. Isn't this a better angle? It is D dot, and my brain still remembers the shortcuts. I put a little shadow underneath. I'm using some like a weird sense of anti-aliasing here. That's just like omission. But let's go back to how you had it because we don't want to change the angle. We're going to keep your art direction. It's your character. How were we? Like this. I don't like this highlight shape. Could it be opposite? Could it be... Where's the... You know what? I'm just going to keep your dude like this for now. This is a banding situation, but it's not a bad one because it's so dark. This actually, both this bands and this bands, but which is better for the character? I actually think this. We will not anti-alias on the top, perhaps like, that's good connect. No. See, Telemachus goes, that's good connections, but then he looks at his 1V and sees this like robotic, harsh 90 degree unsharp mask situation here. This is banding, but at least it's softer. He should have dark shadows though. Do have no other colors here. Is it a matter of potentially... Oh, we have this. Potentially softening the eyes. This is anti-aliasing. A lot of people will do it, but now I've introduced a lot of like little singles that don't do anything. He looks or they look teary, and they are not teary. So let's keep it clean as you had it. Now, these pixels, like if you want to convey that, like in some places, like the irregularities of the puffs are creating some shadows. I wouldn't just put single pixels there. Also, perhaps just very... do we want this? I don't like it personally. Let's keep it clean. Again, selective outlining here. So as you have the colors, you could totally, even though you want to keep the darkness. That's the darkest we have, actually. Well, we have this, which is the same. Anyway, that's okay. We're not gonna... Why is this? I would want like the opposite. I would want like a shiny one. but then that messes with the chain. Then we reduce the chain. Nope, you were right. It's better. But I don't know about this dark pixel in the middle. Can we live without it? Or can we actually use the pure bright? That's what I did before. Now perhaps that means I need to soften these connectors instead. So, oh, they're not ordered. Okay. And then this. I'm looking at my screen, the small render window, and trying to see what doesn't pop too much, what allows this shape to breathe. It's a difficult one, actually. It's a difficult. Let's simplify underneath it so we know our values. Now we're doing a little bit of dirty work. A little bit. Simplify, simplify, simplify. When in doubt, chunkify and simplify your stuff. So that could mean for me just simplify. Yes. Okay, now it's starting to look like something, I think. But no, don't do that. I don't like these pixels now. It's this and this. Do you see how they look like reverse anti-aliasing? So should we accept a couple of singles? Or we could just do this and be done with it. It's perceptually it's the same thing. Now, here, singles to anti-alias your puffs. I think what you're looking for is some sort of cell shading feel than singles. I like these connections. To me, although they look a little bit like digital distortion or JPG gone bad, I've grown to kind of think that's aesthetic. So, but you may be like, why did he do this? It's fine. Don't do it like me. Perhaps one day it'll make sense. But I have to follow my instincts a little bit as I go fast. Trying not to replicate the pattern from this side on this side. At least now. You had like a weird lighting condition there. It seems like I'm stabilizing from here just to keep it more rational for me, but you don't have to do that. Right, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I like that you're trying to imply a zipper here. This should probably be, this is what a comic artist would do to separate the, actually let's do this particular bit very clean so you get the feedback. I'm staggering everything so it doesn't band. I'm simplifying as I go. I check here to see that the thing still reads. See, but now you start doing the proper cleaning up and everything is touching everything else and we're shifting everything around. That's life, baby. Anyway, what I wanted to do here is, let's clarify this shape. You know what it is. It's a hand inside let's cell shade a little bit. Let's keep it puffy on the other side. And then let's cut it. Let's cut through because a sleeve is going there. Yeah. And then let's do a little bit of highlight on the other side because that is the arm. And there should be more darkness here because it's coming from under the hood. So yeah. See, we kind of, it's not perfect actually. We need to do more. This is kind of like, actually, this is highlight enough. Let's clean it up. Tangent. Deeper. Yeah. So, oh, my girlfriend just got up. Is looking at your pixels. Do you like it? It's so cute. She likes it. Okay, so you already won. That's what matters. Ah, there we go. We finally did it. Now it's a arm going in a perhaps like this. I actually like it punchy. Now it's an arm going in a pocket. We don't want a single. Oh, Mina is asking me about the other side. I haven't touched the other side. I'm touching. Oh, you're right. Oh, I read it completely wrong. Okay, Mina's right. I'm wrong. Go away, Mina. You're making this too complicated. The arm is underneath. Do you know what I was reading? Right, I was reading arm smaller. Arm goes into curve, goes into pocket in a jacket. That's what I was thinking was going on here. But anyway, it's okay. You still, if you were doing this, then this would be the edit. But my girlfriend is smarter than me, as it often is the case with idiots. So just for the anyway, you get what I mean. Now, another thing I wanted to say: you've got some pillow shading here, some banding. Always follow your light source. So if it's well, I decided the light source is at the top. So excuse me, I'm making changes. Perhaps I've gone a bit too far away from what you were doing, but and then you would use actually the darkest because it's rounded out below. I would probably make the whatever they are, the little legs, a little bit more robust. Even this, so they feel they can do things. I wouldn't mind like a cartoony. Anyway, not here though. The legs are very short, so the arm can't go that low either. But even this would help, I think. There's more that we can talk about here, way more. I could keep going on a sprite like this for a long time. Do we jump from here to white? No, we have this. This is a bit too much. But, you're using... Well, that's a different problem. Let's talk about this. I will make a shade, put it in the background, and now this knows that this is transparent color. When I have it on, this is a neutral shade. It's 50. You can put a little bit of hue and a little bit of extra, and you can roll it around so you make sure that your sprite lives in different lighting conditions. That nothing pops, nothing is broken, all the way to intense climates like pure white, pure black. Sprites still nothing should pop around the outline. So don't like, let's say if somebody does, oh, this is my background, as you did a little bit before, and I'm gonna go and anti-alias towards the background color, and you know, like this, and then you do this, and now it looks like it's popping out. Do you see how much these 3 pixels unbalance the whole thing? They're pulling everything that way. So check on a range of backgrounds. Usually for a video game or something, you might find yourself in, I would say, this state. So I usually keep them somewhere there, my default backgrounds. Not too saturated, not using the hues that I'm going to be using too much in the sprite so it doesn't pop. Like if we go yellow, you had this problem. Everything now is adjusted perceptually to your eyes, the sprite to the background. But artistically, this is powerful. You may not be making a sprite for a video game. You may be making art for art's sake. And perhaps this is what art looks like for you. Because this is an emotion. It's a very, 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 very different emotion from this. This is art, yeah? So take it with a grain of salt. Usually, pro pixel artists change the background color a lot, keep it muted, or run around it, and very importantly, don't use the background color on the sprite as well. But this may not be a sprite, it's just maybe art. Also, the more I look at this, the more I'm inclined to do this. But I don't like it. What does that mean for me? Something is wrong here. No. Perhaps. Yeah, that's better for me. Might not be for you. One more. And here I would do the same, like a little bit of selective. Okay, I've spent a lot of time on this sprite because it's like cluster city, right? You can do a lot of cluster work. But we have to keep moving and look at other people's submissions as well, sadly. But I love the dude. My girlfriend said, looks so cute. So you win by default. For example, in this background color, obviously, this leg blue shade, it gets lost. So I would be inclined to do this and even potentially, if that's the arm we're going to be using actually. Nah, that looks bad. It's Banding is good. At least now you can read it on this. Could you read it on? Anyway, not sure about the leg thing. I also think you may be missing, in this particular case, sprite or art, you may be missing a unifying dark shade because you've got all this brown, you've got all this blue. Those two colors connect somewhere on the. Now I'm adding contrast to your stuff. Do you see? It's the same color I'm putting here and here. Now I can use it to actually help the limbs. I'm not going to do it everywhere. I should, but you know what I mean. So, by introducing one more color, and a color that is bridges your palette from both sides at the end, at the dark shades, now I've got this wonderful tool of contrast that's telling me to go through the whole sprite, actually, in my mind, somehow, and give a sculpt and push things out and push some things in, I think. So I'm gonna do something now. We're done. I'm gonna copy this guy actually. Oh, sorry. Let me pick him up without the background color. And I'm gonna undo everything while I keep this in the. I'm gonna place them next to each other. Let's see how deep promotions undo is. I mean, I control how deep promotions undo is somewhere in the options. Okay, we're here. Let's go a bit forward. Oh, no. Let's go to before we change the head. Okay, let's move this guy a little bit over here and put this guy over here. They might not be guys, I'm sorry. So now you've got a good reference of how all the small minute details, although I don't like these to be honest, but whatever. I could bridge this a little bit on the second path. Anyway, now you can kind of compare and contrast. We do a lot of this when we do pixel art. We go back and we look at the earlier. I think actually the biggest thing I did for this whole thing is reducing this huge specular that now looks like a, you know, an artifact of some sort, and actually make it a little specular. Now, like, we can actually focus on the expression more. We give it a little bit more head. I hope you like the changes, but if, you know, that's a totally legitimate feeling if you go like, that's not my character anymore. You changed too much. I'm sorry if I did. I was just trying to illustrate a few things, and I love him as he is as well. I love them as they are. I'll call them. I won't actually. That's a bad idea. Let's move on to the next one. Jamie. I hope it's Jamie. Let's look at it. I think this is a JPEG, so I'm not gonna try to salvage a JPEG and talk and kind of like try to do pixel editing on JPEG. It's my bad that I should have mentioned PNGs throughout, but I'm still gonna look at everything. And this is gorgeous. I think this is Hollow Knight fan art. I could be wrong. Jamie knows pixel art technique. They've been around. I think I'm just saying this by looking at the art. They've looked at the artists of the present day working. I think I'm sensing a little bit of Dmitry from Loop Hero in this rendering style that creates banding. But it's one of those cases where I'll take the banding because the stylish element of this kind of a rough texturing appeals to me, and it's very geometric. It can follow the shape, so you can do it without banding. And if this was not a JPEG, I would have it go. But just to say that, like, sometimes there's trade-offs, and you do some vertical and horizontal breaking that can create a perceptual artifact of like lowering resolution or anyway breaks. But you gain something else, and you can do some interesting interlace, or how to explain, like, the textural element here of the fade, using these lines to fade, can be used in reverse to add like a counter shine. Now, this is all really cool. This is like new school stuff. When it comes to stuff like this, like breaking your outline and then buffering on the other side, I think that's old school in a certain, like, this Capcom in a certain way and other things. But for me, this jags, like, this looks like paper cutout, and it's a problem of background colors versus, but in this case it's not, because I think, yeah, you've tried to buffer to the background color correctly, but you haven't broken up. Another way to do this is sadly more colors. Like if you need to taper this off and you go from this to this, I can perceive at least a couple of values to bridge to buffer. Yeah. So you could do this with a staircase, which would be way more connected and, in my opinion, beautiful. But then start selectively turning down, selective outlining, even though it's internal, like turning down the values until you hit key. But this is like very nitty gritty at the moment. Let me read it though. Oh, I'm such a terrible person. Immediately jumped into technique. Let me read the picture. Deposed lord of the Mantis tribe, embraced the infection and turned against his sisters. Cool. So there's a little bit of story to the picture. I should have read that first. I like these cracks, but I think you go too too noisy, perhaps a little bit. I like the mood. I like these colors in the foliage. Like I wouldn't have thought of this at all. Sometimes you chase the outline, sometimes you don't, which is nice. It's like organic and random. And these plants are beautiful, but these colors in the foliage are like that's pretty wild. Your blood doesn't look like blood; it looks more like jam. Like a reference a little bit what, although it's grim, sadly, a reference like what blood on pavement looks like. Um, I would like if these words make any have any meaning to you, like this Dmitri kind of concept of like the parallel lines or at least curved lines that follow the form. Try to solve this without generating steps and see if there is a middle point between the stylish effect and the amount of banding that it introduces to the picture. But you know, not to say that this is going to be a vision quest that's going to change your whole style, but perhaps it'll move a few pixels around. Now, these pixels, these proper singles, those look like proper noise to me. It's not terrible because you can call it like some sort of atmospheric mist, but I would work with these clusters a little bit more or even remove them completely. It looks a little bit like noise to me. Or mistakes. Actually, not mistakes because you've got at least size variance, so we know we're talking about some sort of particle, but the small ones, the way the human hand spaces them as well, like here, 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 like you created a line here. I'm reading constellations now. I'm looking at constellations and not looking at art, unless this art is about constellations. It's not. I like the the stuff here. Perhaps if you're gonna do ornamentals, the corners could do ornamentals as well. But anyway, it's a finished piece and it's beautiful. If you send me PNG, perhaps next time we can push a few pixels around and, like, for example, solve this problem. I think in terms of banding at 2x res, like we're just looking at it, right? Forget about everything else I said. Focus on these corners of the eyes. Do you see the blur? You created blur by having black line, one gray line, a lighter gray line, and then we go to key. This unobfuscated pattern of 3 rows of pixels tells us what the grid is and what the resolution is. And then you hug some corners and you banding becomes even a little bit more difficult. If this is obscure and esoteric, hit me up in DMs or something, and if I have time I can try to explain. But certainly if you Google pixelation, banding, pixelation, clusters, cluster study, stuff like that, you will see many, many, many opinions about this stuff. Some very bitter opinions as well, but hey, that's the scene. So beautiful. Thank you for sending this in, Jamie. I hope I am pronouncing your name correctly. If I misgendered anybody or anything like that, that's on me. My assumptions are terrible. I'm just a default male. I'm trying to work out of it. Feel free to tell me I did a bad and I'll do it good next time. Yeah? Let's move to the next one. Hey, Bio. Okay. This is lovely, very cute. It's a military person. That's a bit sad. But hey, perhaps you're making a game about a military person. This is to say, I don't like guns. I don't like armies anymore. I don't want to be an army man. But we're doing pixel art and not political commentary right now. Is this a PNG? I think it is. Let's go look at it inside the pixel art program and see how it looks like. Ooh, look at this palette. Let me sort this in a different way, I think. Let me sort this in a different way. What if I move this here? What if I move this here, and this here, and this here, and this here. What if I move this here? And this could go here. Perhaps this can go in between. Yeah. What if I move this off? Okay, let's do it. You go here. You go here. You go here. And you go here. And we remap this. Is this everything? Is this a color? No, it's black. How many colors in this picture? We have a very useful thing that says count colors used. 15. Person is trying to make a sprite for a video game, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't make fun of my math. Okay, do it in your head, Lemma, because this is easy. 64. Let's see if I'm an idiot. It's 32. Oh, I'm embarrassing myself so much. It's okay. Back to that concept. Middle shade. Immediately tells you that your grays may get, depends what your backgrounds are if you're making a video game, but let's just keep it, say this little soldier fella is in Wales. So I'm just gonna go fast. You have sunglasses. We have to make the sunglasses show. Oh, that's not, it's tactical goggles. Of course it is. This color and this color are very close. Let's push this out a little bit. Now that we have, yeah, and then we have to push this out a little bit. Yeah. Oh, this ramp should be like this, I think. Oh, did I do something wrong? I think I did. I may have distracted something. It's okay. Destroyed. Learn to speak. Okay. Just taking detail out to leave only the necessary bits. He's cute. Or they are cute. The camo is hard to deal with at this res. You have to kind of like futz around until something looks okay. There's difficult patterns for this resolution and it creates a lot of singles. I'm going to try to find a way anyway. Oh, it's so difficult to not make singles now. It's not a lot of real estate. We'll have to live with a few. Selective, if you watch the whole video, not just your part, selective outlining on the outside. You could even go like this. Meh. Bigger arm. This gun is going to be difficult to clean. Is this a hand holding? If it's a hand holding, we have to clarify. Oh, this needs to be darker. He's wearing some sort of gloves, but perhaps in terms of like what would help a person understand what they're looking at, we would need to. This is a little shelf. I don't love it. It's just bands by itself. What if we just... This is... okay, this is the color of that one. I'll go with this. Yeah. This is just like automatic pixel art person. Actually, you know what? No. Let's... 1, 2, 3. This bands... But it's kind of... It's so simple that sometimes... Just let it be. I do want this to... Perhaps... Is this clip too big? Yeah, I think. Yeah. This can't, this is not dark enough to go directly into this, but do we have another shade? We do. And this can be now. Okay. We rationalized the steps, the palette steps to do different things. Let's try to... I'll even try this, and see, it's fine. You can fight me later about the staircases. I do think that now it's looking at us, though it's not looking at where it's going to shoot. But this is a big problem in pixel art. Perhaps we can solve the even more. Mm. Mm. Single. Okay. No, this do nothing. But perhaps this does. No. What if it's just like this? No. Yes. Darker is better. I would actually omit this, I think. But no, you're right. It's part of the design. I just don't like Army Man. I don't want to go look at reference to help you better. That's on me. Also, the little feetsies. Usually, pixel sprites, if they're sitting on the ground, don't put another. It's so small. Just keep it like this. It's better. Final Fantasy, old Final Fantasy tricks. We'll keep the single there. That that can separate the legs a little bit. Do you see the increase in clarity? You can take or leave like my aesthetics and my obsessions with like not having orphans and all that. But do you see the clarity increase? Like, do we understand the sprite better? This could be. I'm not sure actually. What compels me to change? Well, I guess it's my own bias. I'm Greek, so I imagine that this person would be less light skinned, but this means nothing. I would want if I was gonna add something, I would probably take. Okay, what's this color? This is nothing. Colors remove unused. Okay, so we had a few. We have a few slots, and I think the one slot that you would need is this. That's okay. Promotion stuff. I move this here, and I say from here to here, make me a ramp. So it just made an in between. But doesn't mean you take the in between and you use it as is necessarily. Then we can do something like this, and get. Oh, am I using the background color on the sprite? Yes, I am. So that probably means another gray is in order, my friend. Gunmetal highlight specular. Let's see. Actually, now that we have this can go here. We can push out some details. Now this segmentation here is too heavy. We can take it out. Start to imply details of the gun without actually pixeling them because there's a lot of noise still. It's better. And even this shade, since we go from this, we have this on the camo, huh? Yeah, we could use it. See, now he has shade from the helmet over his eyes. Simple things like that can make a big difference. Little bootsies, I'm gonna give them. That was worse. This is kind of the knee. Yeah, okay. So perhaps no singles. That's what I would do. This is not the best. These colors are too close perceptually. So, but no, now he seems like his head is back. See, that's pixel art. Everything changes if you make any changes. Oh, this color is also only here. That's a waste. If you have this, you can use it elsewhere, like better and simpler. That also means that this color let's call it, yeah. Now let's do the thing we did before. I'm gonna capture this little person. I'm gonna put it next to the other little person, and I'm gonna tell them to get a better job, like not kill people if they can, but we help them anyway. So let's go back. Let's go forward. Okay. Oh, the palette has reverted, but that's kind of interesting as well. Now all my changes are here. Frame. Resize. All my changes are here, even though the palette has been changed. So it doesn't work all the way, like these obviously are pushing out too much. But even so, like if, without changing your palette, I still think this reads much better. And most importantly, it's better grounded. That's what I wanted to convey to you more than anything. I do think we're missing a little bit of that thing. But anyway, I prefer the other colors, to be honest. But you have it on video. You can pause it. You can look at it and learn from it. Thank you for sending me your cute little sprite. I hope they become a pacifist in the future. I hope you've learned something from me clarifying and taking away some of that noisy detail and just keeping the shapes. It's very hard to make little sprites like this, to be honest. Like every single, like now I'm obsessing on this. Do you see? Like it looks like an inward turned knee next to the other inward. Oh well, this is a proper knee and this looks inward, so it makes him look more hesitant than he should, and perhaps we should just bite the rubber bullet here. Anyway, enough with the little soldier. I hope you learned something. I certainly love looking at tiny little sprites. They're so hard. This is like the best practice I've had in a while. Stop, Telemachus, stop. Okay, moving on. There's a lot of them, huh? Well, I may have to do this in a few parts, but I will. This is from Anura. Thank you for the submission. Imanovic. Nura Imanovic. Nice to meet you. I would like to take this into an editor and look at it a bit more, if that's okay. To see what we've got. We've got a proper palette, like I mean, it's a pixel artist learned on the internet. So I don't know if this is a character from a show or something. I'm not familiar. So I'm just reading it, taking it at face value. The first things I'm feeling is it's a cool person with a cool hairstyle, probably from an anime, pulling out a huge sword. I also get the sense that they are in midair. They're jumping. So the first few things that jump at me, I understand the parts. It's important. I understand that it's a katana, a long katana. I can see that these are the hands pulling out the sword. The hairstyle is clear. The jacket is clear. The pants are clear. The boots could use a little bit of work, I think. But already you have conveyed a lot of information in a small sprite. I feel like the posture could. I don't know if this is difficult because I don't know if I'm reading it right. I'm just going to make 2 frames. The same frame. You can see it here. It goes back and forth. I press 1 and 2 on the keyboard. So on the second frame, I'm going to start making changes. Oh, well, first of all, what is the resolution? 5. Nice. Times 5. I'm not going to do this math. I'm going to do this. Sue me. 144. We good? Is this now pixels? Yep, it's now pixels. So first thing I'm going to do is work on this posture a little bit. If I misunderstand and it was supposed to be doing something else than jumping, I apologize, and I will tailor the feedback better if you give me a little bit more context. But if the character is jumping, I would expect some sort of knee-high boots. I think we're seeing knee-high boots. Let's make this, yeah. Also, anime, I don't know, I'm making some assumptions about how anime this is. It looks pretty anime. Smaller feeties, I think, is generally the feel. You don't want to, it's fine, actually. You can keep it. At least now I understand that this is a character. Also, this kind of, perhaps, if it's a shadow, if that's what you're doing, see, I'm making some assumptions. Perhaps this is a better angle. Also, there's like a long sword that you may not want to convey because it's a sprite, probably. So let's go with this for now. A lot of crotch, perhaps. We'll use the buffers, the cell shading later. I think I will work on it. But heavy waist could be a good thing. Like I'm not gonna mess with it. Perhaps this though, like where's the knee here? Can we? Well, now now it conveys the curvature of a hip, and you may not want that either. It's kind of okay for now. Perhaps it's like this shading I'm doing here is a little bit for the space and for the character a little bit too literal, or trying to do like an SNK thing where it doesn't belong. But let's leave it there for the moment. This cape, does it billow out? It may billow out correctly, but then that makes me feel that this, which is shirt, is this the color of the shirt? Let's go with this. This is should be kind of like this is the curve of the shirt. Then do you see that? Okay, going through. We haven't made a lot of changes, but we've made some. It's significant. Like I'm reading this character better. Yeah, this is what when you learn to draw humans, this is what we would call a little bit fly swatted. Fly swatted, like a human has been hit with a fly swatter. So what this means is when you draw a human being with a mouse, it's harder to do gestural drawing. But like let's say somebody's jumping, they have an action line, and the one knee is going to go out and the other leg is going to follow, and there's going to be a body, and like the arms are going this way, and now Superman is flying or whatever. That's a Superman. If instead, is this a Superman? If instead this leg, oh, hold on, has a long, if this instead, this Superman had a leg, oh, hold on, make it huge, V. This is one leg, the arms. Okay, if this leg went this way, now you've got fly swatted. Now Spider-Man has been defeated. Yeah, I think you understand what I mean. Follow on your action line, and if you're gonna break that and you're gonna create like, I'll try to give you a nuanced point here. When you fly swat, if you do it on purpose, you are conveying an how to call it. The strong pose is the keyframe. There's in betweens. There's moments of hesitation before somebody throws a punch. There's exhaustion after somebody jumps. Capturing like the off key can be very human, and it's not a bad thing. But for a cool person with a cool sword jumping with a pink hair, I think, if not this angle, but perhaps what you were looking for potentially could be brush rotate free. It could have been something more like this. I think this is actually what you would want to go for something. Yeah? Do you want me to do this? Send me telepathic waves right now. Yes, you want me to place this down and clean it. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, because look, immediately this makes our anime leg more anime. Swoosh. It even actually created a... Yes, thank you. This actually fixes some of my issues with the waist as well. Seems like it was a... Thank you for the telepathic command. Now we can do this. Perhaps even a little bit more, so we can convey a little bit of that color on the other side to tell to the person that this is the other side of the coat, actually. Okay. Oh my God, I'm going to upload a 5-hour long video. But hey, that's the life. And this is the most fun I've had in a while, so you know what that means. It means pixel art for life. Let's continue with this. Well, now it has a belly, which may not be what you want, although it might be. Nothing wrong with anime belly. Too much shadow. Anyway, you understand what I wanted to say about the pose, and that's what matters for me now, because there's a lot more I can tell you about the sprite. I don't think, perhaps it's on the sprite, perhaps it's a start. I have to remember to use correct language for people's art. That would help a lot with the three-dimensionality to get the shading, the shadow of the sword on the body. I would also, just for purposes of clarity, just darken that whole thing. And now we have created a little, yeah, that's better. Another thing, anti-aliasing on like this is what we would use to call sellout. I'll do it on the top as well, just so you can see it. A lot of old Capcom sprites are like this, and when you have a very bleed heavy CRT, like the pixels become blurry, and this pixel blends with this and this, it kind of works. But now on modern displays, where you can see pixels very very sharp, I wouldn't recommend selective outlining of this sort. Sellout. I would recommend selective outlining of this sort, though, which means if the light source is above, I'm coloring the outline as I go, and it creates a much more simpler shape to read. I could go through the whole sprite with this premise on the outside, like you've got a lot of outline that I think could be selectively lightened up or darkened, depending. There's way more I could do here, but I am sensing the need to move on, mostly because there's so many submissions, and I really don't want to leave anybody feeling like you know. So things to Google would be sellout, one word like this, to see the past. That's a term that you can look out, and you will see us shouting at each other like 15 years ago about this. Some post study, some post references would be good. I commend you for actually conveying hands here. It's really hard. Perhaps this could also help. Anyway, this one even works, and I like it's cool. I like the character. Once again, check your art on different hues to see if anything, like immediately, these two are bad now. I need a darker shade. Do I have it? No, well, this palette is not optimized at the moment. So then, at pure black, this is just a straight up banding staircase, but I would live with it because pure black is way unlikely. Even the moment you go even like 25 in, it works. Also, pure black makes our shadows blue, which is cool, but that tells us we don't have a real black. So if we go here and we actually select the black and we push the contrast, although that is a different art direction, and you might like, I didn't want to use pure black in my picture, Telemachus. But now look at this. Well, it's very dark, but if we start pushing, actually I push the saturation a little bit. Some NES effects start showing up, like colored shadow, yeah? But because we also have black, we have no limitations. We can use both sides of this aesthetic to get like cool shadows underneath and inside close and folds. And check it out. When you go back to bright, it doesn't hurt anything. It just creates more separation and more clarity of the sprite. Now we could do this on the boots, and then we can do cool things like this on the side of the boot. Now if we go black, the boot is lost, which is a problem in certain ways, but at least we get a nice little shine. And the moment we step out of the black, we can use the blue as an ambient kind of like thing. You get what I mean, I hope. We could go way deeper on this, but I'm gonna have to move on. Thank you very much, Nura, for sending me your art. It makes me happy to see sick ass sword anime pink haired creature. Let's see. Oh, okay. This we'll have to look at this res because it's a heavily destructed. What is it with me saying this word today? Destructed is not a word. Destroyed. What I mean to say, and perhaps that's why my brain is getting confused, is when we save files, there's destructive saving and there's not like saving that doesn't destroy anything. What we mean by that is PNG format keeps the pixels and the indexed palette as it was when you were working on it. So when I open it up in my program, I'm going to see exactly the palette order you were working with. Also, none of the pixels will have changed. If you save something as JPG, even at full quality, it's going to destroy certain things on a pixel art level because it has to. That's how it compresses. This is heavily compressed. However, it's interesting and beautiful, and the person that sent me this said something like, I'm not looking for a lot of critique, I think they said. But I'm going to give you some critique because you gave me your art. I'm going to try to not be very heavy-handed because this is mostly about the beautiful aesthetic. We could talk about technique, but I don't think it's the right time. Before we do that, Yumi, I would like to very gently recommend to you to reconsider the NFT part of your name. That's all I'm going to say about that. I love you. You're a pixel artist. Everybody that places pixels is my friend. Moving on. Now, as to the art, what is this beautiful aesthetic? How did you come up with this? Is it a nightmare? Is it a dream? Or was it drugs? I love it. It reminds me of certain things that I would like for you to Google. Um, I would like for you to Google a game called Chamber of the Sci-Fi Priestess, also known as Cult with a K. An old adventure game. I think you will enjoy the art there and other things made by that company in that era, including a game called Captain Blood on the Atari ST. I would like you to look at those things. I would also like for you to look at a game called Neuromancer on the C64 and IBM compatibles of the time and stuff like that. I think that would be also useful to you. The reason I want you to look at these things is because these weird like semi-digital, semi-organic pixel art spaces with the neon palettes, they've been around for a while, and there's a lot of beautiful historical stuff to look at in the history of video games that kind of touches on your aesthetic. It's a really cool aesthetic. It makes me feel. Let's talk about just art things now, not pixel things. I'm not going to talk to you a lot about pixel things. I'm not going to talk to you about art things. It makes me feel that I'm meeting the Godhead, like not a good God. I'm meeting some sort of creator that has an intense interest in me and everything around me, but it's not a good interest. But I'm also seeing kind of like the shape of the edge of the universe deep down inside there. So I don't know how familiar you are with agnostic things, but I guess I'm seeing middle management here telling me and how important it is and that I should worship it and believe in it. But we're also seeing the faraway source of the pleroma. I hope these thoughts are interesting to you because they came out of your piece. Thank you for sharing. Think about this little bit here because it is antithetical to love. Yeah, you don't want to be part of this crew. You want to go back there. So, Monir. Oh, this is extremely haunted. Is this you? I have had an experience similar to this. Let's look at this in just this. You're in my wheelhouse a little bit. Oh no, we will not be able to talk about this in the way that I would want to because it's destructed. But you can see it here. We will try to find out what the pixel res is. You'll see what I'll do now. I'll do some mad shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not really 6, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Do we color reduce first? Yes. Let's see what you got. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, 16 will do it. Yeah, that's fine. And also now, what's a pixel? More or less. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. Okay. Frame, resize. It's gonna look glitchy, but that's fine. 5, you said? Oof. Okay, 410 it is. Let's see what that looks like. Oh my god. You know what? How about we just overpaint like this and we call it? A few things that come to mind when I'm looking at this beautiful picture of this very, very haunted person. This shoulder is really low compared to that shoulder, and it's just a little bit distracting. So we're not going to do too much technical stuff because we want to talk about the mood. I just want to show you this alteration. I think it puts a lot of emphasis where it needs to. I would also say that you don't need any broken outlines for stuff like this. What you need is buffer shades. So reference earlier to the video why instead of just staggering your lines here, if you have a proper buffer shade, you can continue your lines without, well, no, anyway, you get what I mean. This is actually a very interesting look when you take pixel art and you start making diagonals. If you look at it from a distance, it starts creating a very interesting and pleasing visual effect. Anyway, I'm scared of this, which means I like this, which means you made some art. The dither stuff, the order dither, not a fan, to be honest. There's so much pixel art that does this, like we go from, but in this, like, let me show you something quickly. Let's pick a range. Let's make a gradient, horizontal, vertical. Okay, now let's pick the right line. Can we do it like this? We can. Where does it end? Okay, and then we turn on dithering, put it in the middle. Let's see, does this work? It's Deluxe Paint stuff that I haven't done in a while. What am I doing wrong? The dithering. Ordered. Right. So if you let the computer do this for you, it will do it properly, yeah? If you have close enough shades, it'll make a proper gradient for you. But you see how it is, right? So in your picture, you have bands that you did by hand. Get yourself acquainted with a program that actually understands dither if you want to do heavy dithers. However, I would recommend trying to find alternative solutions where you actually pattern your clouds or find some other abstract solution, because now this is the problem. I want to focus on this creature, but I'm focusing on this band. I'm focusing on this order dither that actually frames his face too much. Do you see what I mean? Now I'm just looking at the picture. I would also want the dither not to touch the moon in whatever way that would be possible. I would want a little bit of a halo around the moon. I would want a little. I wish I had the PNG version of this, mate. I would want a dark glow around these, matching a little bit of a glow around this. That's too heavy. I like. Now I'm having a continuity of this effect with the eyes and it's spooking me out extra hard. Thank you for sending in your stuff, Monir. I hope you got something useful out of that, and very sorry for the messy editing of your beautiful picture. Next time, send me a PNG. Hey, Pizza Clover. This is a little bit difficult to. You said, like, you sent me a message saying, like, this is a little bit of my safe for work art. You could have sent me not safe for work art. It would complicate this because children might watch this actually, but the problem I have with this and giving you a lot of feedback about this, because I checked the references, like the other Tetris versus whatever it was, like the SNES game, and it is in keeping with the style. It's just like it's very. It's an omitted character. I don't know what the rest of this character looks like to give you proper critique, but I damn well will tell you, my friend, that why are you anti-aliasing a question mark? I'll fix that for you, my friend, just for all times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Frame resize. What are you? 64. Do I know math? No, 32. Second time I do this. Yeah. Yeah. This is for free. I did it. Yeah. Why are you anti-aliasing things like this? I'm gonna be familiar with you because we're familiar with each other. Like, do you need it, all of it? Do you need like them? It is part of the style. It seems a little bit heavy-handed to me. At least I read the face. I read the character, which is good. Perhaps this nostril leaves something to be desired. Let me solve this for you. Solve it to my liking, at least. Do you see the change I made here? Let's go back. This looks a little bit like a boob. And now, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I'll do it again. We give him nostril. Give him space under the nostril. Although I'm doing singles, it's okay. Actually, I could do this without a single if I wanted. Could I? We take this away. We soften the nostril. And do we have another shade? Can we? Now it's a nose. No? Also, this is very useful. The little highlight at the wet nook under the eye immediately makes characters look more alive. You've got some banding here, my friend. You shouldn't have banding at this stage. Actually, take it out. Take it out. Take it all out. I don't want. You know, I'm just gonna do the face because it's fun. I'm gonna do it like that. Gonna take away your anti-aliasing. You don't need it. This is okay. That's okay. What's do we? Is this shine? Do you want the shine? Ah, what happened there? This is what happened. I'm still at gradient fill. Current. Immediately for me, like it reads better like that. I would push this a little bit more, like yeah, let's go, and take it out and just use it as a specular, like take it out from the picture at large. Also, you like something tells me that like, do you need what you do need it for stuff, but sometimes it feels like you're being a bit too noisy with your. No, it just needs like perhaps this needs to be a bit pushed in, and then that means we can push this out a little bit. Now I'm changing the SNES colors, and that might break everything, but you get what I mean. I'll do this. I'll just take everything. I take everything out. Please don't hate me. You understand the premise, right? You've always understood the premise, but like too much noise for me. Let's go back. Oh, not like this, like this. So we started here, and we end up. Some change. Now this nostril, because we made it to. Actually, now I can. Yeah, that's actually a nose now. Anyway, you get my drift. Send me something bigger, something. Well, I don't care if it's safe or not safe for work. I'll put something on top, or I won't for next time. Nice to chat with you. Nice to see your art. Always a pleasure. Yeah. Okay, I want to talk about this. How many hours has this been so far? I think I'm gonna do part 2 next weekend. Yeah, because I don't want to stop, and I don't want anybody to get like a line or two. You all deserve as much help as I can give you. That's the whole premise and inspiration. I just want to look at it. I love this. I love the submission. I've never seen anything like this. In terms of pixel technique, it's raw, but in terms of like the mood and the feeling, and I love it. There's something that really speaks to me. I want to talk about this. I'm not going to change it. Perhaps I will change it for next video if you want, but I want to talk about this because this is the sort of artwork that if it showed up on the scene 15 years ago, we would immediately jump on you and try to make you fix everything and like control your palette, clean up your lines, get your perspective in order, blah, 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 blah. And you did mention in your comments that perspective is something you try to work on here. And you got even mixed resolution, like these are big, big pixels and smaller pixels, things that we would call no-nos because we were trying to police aesthetics. We're not trying to police aesthetics anymore. And this is kind of beautiful as it is. We could go in a lot of detail about pixels, and perhaps I will next time with your piece. But Pinku Rory, what I wanted to convey first of all is that I love the mood. I'm wondering what the character is thinking. I'm wondering where they live. It looks like a cake place outside the window. I want to eat the cake. I want to know what the books are. What's in the letter? So you've made a picture that is art. When you make me think, what's in the letter? Or why are they not using this mouse? Well, this is cuter, I guess. What's in the letter, though? Or what is it? This one, I would actually want to know what it is exactly. But the inclusion of little details like that makes it alive. If you want to talk technique, and you can let me know after you watch this, we would have to start elsewhere from pixel art. The issues would not issues. Well, the places where you can grow are a little bit more fundamental if you want to go there. But in terms of you as an artist, you're already an artist. That's a good feeling, isn't it? I'm almost 40 years old. I've been doing this for a while, and I'm not going to change your pixels. I'm not going to tell you what to do because I like your art. If you want to, though, respond to me after you watch this video, and we can get into some nitty-gritty. But only if you want to, because it's already art, you know? Oh, This is another conversation, isn't it? I think this one was the one that told me they don't want that much critique. They just want a vibe. This is a JPG, and it's if it was pixel art, or are you redrawing? Are you taking this and trying to remake it here with pixels? I think that's what's happening. Yeah. So you're starting very chaotically. You're like, actually, you're not starting completely chaotically because you've done a little bit of general to specific, but then you started working here. I know this feeling. I know how it is to like, okay, this is the picture and we want to convey it, but if we go general to specific for 20 hours, which is what it'll take, it looked like shit for, well, it looked like something bad for a long time. So we have this tendency to go in and try to solve a little bit of detail and then extrapolate out and solve the other things. It's not a bad thing. It's just like at this stage of the game, this pulls a lot of attention. Um, the vibe is this your art as well, or are you working for something you found? Because you've made alterations, I think. I don't know what I'm looking at, but it's certainly a vibe. It feels like a techno singularity. It feels like a VR world. It feels like somebody. Yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like a horrifying VR world, which is true to life. I like this element. I know it's just when you mirror things, you get a lot of natural like flows that are interesting just because of symmetry. But here it looks like a little creature holding its hands out, entering the digital vulva, if you will. Anyway, I'm not sure what you want from me in terms of pixel. Like we could, if you send me a PNG, we could look at this stuff if you want. It's gonna take you 1,000 years, yeah, but go for it. This one is a complicated. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. How many do we do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We didn't. We need to do more. Let's say we stopped at 10 and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think I'm gonna do it in a few sessions, if that's okay, because I want to honor every piece, and then we have things to talk to on a different level here, and there's so much that's we have different things to talk to here. What I will do though, because actually I think that's fair, I'm gonna give you a few impressions through all of them, but then I'm gonna go next week and do another video with more in depth, so nobody feels like, heck, I just watched 2 hours of somebody rambling about other people's stuff and I got nothing for myself. So lightning round, but this is not all you get. Pixel Red Sorel. I read your notes that you started with ISO and now you're going to try to do a top down. I don't think I'm not showing you the top down here, but I looked at your art very closely. I don't think your top down looks worse in any significant way than your ISO work. Perhaps the natural power of ISO, like it looks so chunky and like edible and like you just want to pick it up and put it on like a plastic toy on your desk. That's just ISO. All ISO when it's done correctly on the right a grid on like there's no terrible breaks. Like we learned to do this when Zoggles made a tutorial 20 years ago about how to do ISO. eBoy made a career, like people made millions out of ISO. There's a reason this style is so robust, but that doesn't mean your top-down work isn't robust. Now, I will next time come in and show you some things about ISO pixeling in particular, and perhaps we can look at the other one as well. But that's just a quick lightning round response. Also, just not just talking about technique. This place is like the buildings that belong, the place that these buildings belong to, especially these trees. I love it. Like, what is this cyberpunk reality? These are good assets. They make me feel things. They make me want to be a little actually, Google a game called Degeneration. D, the letter, dash, generation. It's a DOS game from the 90s that will be of interest to you because I'm sensing this little courier from Degeneration going up this isometric path to find Derrida. Play that game, my friend. You'll see what I mean. So, Chase Graves, beautiful atmosphere. I think this has that naivete of somebody that drew this without looking at anything from the real world, and that's beautiful sometimes. The first things people will tell you is go reference the real world. But before we do this, let's just take in like a beautiful scene with liquid clouds and an island with one tree. I don't want you to change it. I just want you to be aware that it gives that conveys the information to the viewer that this is from imagination. That makes it, there's power when you do things from imagination. When you learn art, everybody's pushing you to become a better technical artist because that's how you're going to make your money. But Picasso said it took him 40 years to learn to draw like a 5-year-old again. I don't like Picasso, but I like his art. What he means by that is he managed to become free. You are free now because of ignorance a little bit. Don't take it this wrong way. I'm ignorant about most of the world. But that makes you powerful. So be careful as you learn more technique and reference the real world, and you become more observant of reality, to not become a slave to reality, because you are already an artist. And this is beautiful, and I would put it up on my wall. We can talk about pixels more the next time, if you want. Lucas here is a pro in a sense, like he's digested pixel art knowledge from the internet for a long time. I can tell this because he made 4 palette variations of the same thing, which means he controls his palette, and he's also questing for like the perfect vibe. And all 4 of them are perfect vibes. Now, Lucas, next time I will talk to you about pixels in more detail if you want, because you know what you're doing. I also think a lot of this is just imagination, and you are on a higher technical level, but than the prior piece. But it does show in your construction of the scene, like this line going into this. This is what your frame made you do. This is not a picture from the real world that you then made pixels out of. That's not a problem, but like the chairs, I would disambiguate. It's 2 chairs, hard to say. I would disambiguate the tree from you're missing, this is so much juice. This is where I want to go. I want to look at all this and go, oh, but this is where my soul wants to lie down. And you're not being as effective as you could with this. You're pulling a lot of attention to a hole in terms of light. Small things like that. We can look at pixels, but it's beautiful art. Once again, print it out, put it on the wall. You made art. Thank you for sharing it with me. We'll talk about it more next time if you want. Red gear, I hope that's okay. This is a Elden Ring character. These have character. Sorry, let's put it a different way. These have a particular personality, and I would talk to you about anatomy and stuff like that. But mostly, what we're going to do next time is look at contrast. I think this is a piece where we can enjoy working on a little bit of contrast, both on the specular and the highlight level, but also in the deep dark shadows that you're missing something here. They are a little bit flat. Do you see it? If you see it, we can talk about it next time. So this is invested. This is the first time in this video that we're talking about like a clusterer. This is a person that understands clusters. That you can see it everywhere. There may be if you consider this connected, there are very few singles even, I think. So we can go deep in there and solve some cluster problems just because we are fetishists, me and you. But the main point of critique I'm going to give you is not about your clustering, which is beautiful. Look at this. It's about the fact that in your quest to cluster, these have come out a little bit flat. It's uniform. I would like to darken the sides of that tree and keep the body here. This is better. This is actually quite good. But we have this problem a little bit. They look like a package of cigarettes. They don't look like they're around it necessarily. So in your quest to retain the cluster information, you're not necessarily shading the volumes, because the volumes are real. What I'm trying to say is these are not bamboo sticks. They're just three-dimensional volumes getting hit by light, and you need to look at them and learn to interpret them like that, not like symbols that you arrange necessarily. Hold up, let me roll back. I'm just talking to a clusterer here, and that's immediately I go, you should do this and you should do that. You don't have to do anything I'm saying. This is just an impassioned first response to looking at the art. So rolling it back, Helm didn't tell you what to do in this case. He would just like to see you attempt this, like to see you get even better. Why am I talking about myself in the third person? I should cut that out. Okay, we'll talk about this more next time. I love this. It makes me want you to go even more retro, less colors. I have some references I want to talk to you about. Io, this is cool. This is like a vibe. I want to live there. But you've made some odd kind of like banding choices. that we can talk about. You're close to an aesthetic that can be very strong, but I think you need to reduce a bit more. We can talk about that next time. Beautiful. Okay, this is following. No, well, following. Let's use a better word. This is inspired by a recent wave of an environmental pixel art that's happening, I think, on Twitter. Is that okay to say that I'm feeling this? From the cloud shapes, I wish I remember the artist's name, and the dither pattern and like the vibe. The vibe. It's very much about vibes. Here's very quickly. You have harmony, way more harmony than a lot of the other things we looked at. Like even this. So I appreciate that. I appreciate this curve. What I'm not super fond of is this dither solution here. It is interesting with the cloud in the back, but we can talk other solutions next time. Gorgeous art, once again, print it, put it on the wall, and you made it. It wasn't some, professional hotshot like a celebrity. You made some art, and I'm looking at it. So let's talk about it more next time. It's beautiful. Vincent. Oh, Vincent. This touches my soul a little bit, and we can talk about why more. I chose this one because I felt like this is something that I I love actually. So we can talk a little bit about your clusters and some details later, but on the whole, first of all, this is beautiful. This is like I often draw little Kirby's escaping, and this reminds me of that of a little cartoon creature escaping from the video game, escaping from whatever they were doing, and just look at it, Mina. My girlfriend is looking at the little character. It's beautiful, and the colors on the moon, and this beautiful shape, and the implication of environment with the power lines. Beautiful, gorgeous. Some pixel messiness in your quest to do clustering here, but we can talk about it next time. Beautiful. This is mad. I love it. Momo. Hi, Momo. Hello, my name is Jeff McCabe. He, him. Hates his job. That looks like a plates his job a little bit. Humor me. 28 years old, mute ASL user, always tired. Peach Cube. This is cool. So much personality. I love the character. I love all the detail work. I do think that the coffee bean flavor smoke is a little bit too much, and if you knock that back, the tendrils going up, if you knock those back, we will be able to focus on the information a little bit better. We can try that next time. But this is mad. Like, what is this? Are you making game? Is this for? Well, this is actually a profile for somebody. Is it for you? It's cool. Is it an eye on the coffee cup? I have questions, but I am intrigued by the work. And you go, send me some pixel art submissions, and people send you things like this. I love it. I love this scene. I want to know what's up. So perhaps you can let me know until next week when I go over this, or perhaps you shouldn't. Let's look at it. Oceans Andrew, we'll talk about this more. Obviously, you're making a game. Obviously, you've learned a lot by looking at a lot of other stuff. It is almost don't be actually let me say this, don't be insulted. This is beautiful and quite professional in a sense, like people will pay for this and they will say it looks gorgeous. But for me as a pixel artist, you have a few, like you're close to coherency, but you're not 100% coherent. And I think we have to talk a little bit video game dev next time as to why. Because individual assets, like look at the beautiful, like this selecting this buffer between this and this, it shows you like that you've looked at pixel art, you've made choices, but on the whole, all the assets together, you start getting a little feeling of puzzle pieces put together, not a coherent look. And I want to investigate this with you a little bit more, and I think you'll get something out of it. In terms of pixel art, you're already very good. So if you wanted to work on the sprite, I was to work on the sprite, we can go work on the sprite. But this environment, I think we need a little bit of a more holistic look at it next time. There may be some effects on top, like I'm seeing some alpha here. Could you send me a clean one, or like without the alpha stuff, if I'm seeing a lot of alpha? Because I think that may be contributing. Of course, there's SNES games that had alpha on top, like there was another channel that would do like light beams and stuff like that. But you do stuff like that a little bit more controlled if you want to hit that style. I don't think you want to do SNES here. This is today. but it is a little bit messy, and I would like for us to investigate why. I think it's effects, and I think it's some of your assets not being in the same contrast range and information density as some of your other assets. Anyway, we'll look at it. It's beautiful though. I think this is better than, like, if you told me make a mock-up in this style that has these elements, I think you did better than I could do. So take also that into account when I give you feedback. Yeah, we'll talk about it next time. Little Wisp. This is a game world. We start here, and we go through the layers of hell and into the crystalline forest, and this is where we meet the goddess, and we take the underground acid with the mole people here, and eventually we make it into space, into the fragmented islands. Your message said that you had a little bit of a problem with the gray feel of your sky, and there is a great solution to that, which is not to have a gray sky, but a black sky or a blue sky. So in terms of like direct feedback for you, that would help. But I would like for us to look at this. If it's, could you send me a PNG of this actually, so we can look at it a little bit more close up next time? I wanna quest here, and I wanna know what's up, what's happening. Where? Okay, here's some not exactly pixel art feedback, but game design feedback. I suppose we start here, and I suppose we go here, and I suppose we go here. Give me a little bit more of a visual flow through the stages, unless I can go from any place to any place. That has to do with game design. But if it's stages like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5, 6, and so on, they are not ordered necessarily in a way that looks like a path, but there's always the upwards path. So in terms of that, I do know that we're going to end up here killing God, right? We'll talk about it more next time. It looks intriguing. Make the sky black. This is Balamia, another pixel artist on a quest to harness the aesthetic. Harness like the aesthetic of pixels. So bold choices like this doesn't buffer into this doesn't buffer into this, but it's a look. Uh, some stuff happening here. You have like these are things that people tell you to fix, but I want us to look at it next time a little bit more like. So if you do this, if you decide to do this, how to pull that off instead of like, yeah, just take those pixels out. I like that you're doing studies. This is what I recommend a lot to any person starting up. Like, don't draw cool shit or only cool shit. Also draw mundane stuff and try to put spirit in them. And I go, apple, cup of cocoa. You can allow me that, yeah? Some of them not as successful because like rendering falling rain in such a small space and you did anti-aliasing, we can talk about it. But be prepared, yeah. At the end of the day, I am going to tell you to take a few things out, a little bit perhaps. But you can say, no, I'm not going to do that, and that's all good. Beard. Hard to tell. I'm not sure. This is a cool Brocas helm. I think I think that's a Brocas helm actually. I should know. I'm called Helm. Not sure about the energy. It may be a character from something that I'm not recognizing. So, but that's the thing when you do like fan art. If it is fan art and it's not an original creation, like if the person is not familiar with the source of the fan art, shouldn't they be able to tell? So if this is some sort of mystical, magical whirlwind of water that culminates into God seed, obviously my brain can come up with something, but I would like a little bit more a point of reference to reality about like the materiality and the shapes and the forms of these things, so I can be more certain about what I'm looking at. You've got some banding issues. This is like the most egregious that we have seen. Don't take this the wrong way. You're sorry. You're a beginner. And that's okay, and I want to help you. I'm just saying that this is a very good example of what we say when we talk about banding. Because if I go out, do you see how this look like fat pixels? Do you see how you're exposing the grid instead of hiding the grid? This is almost like my eyes are defocusing. Do you see? So this is banding. And usually it's not a good thing. But even if you think it's a good thing, just make note of it, that it exists. And the way to not do this is to stagger the connections. The way to not do this, I would like to have a PNG, but we will do it like this. Okay. What's this color? Let's go here. I'm just going down the ramp and banding, and it feels terrible. It really hurts me to do things like this. But we will see that it has some uses sometimes, like aesthetically. Oh, at this point, we need to jump a few rows because this is a terrible default palette. So, do you see it? Do you see the effect? Perhaps it's a little bit too dark. We can remap if it is. Do you see all these breaks? We found them. So the way to solve problems like this would be to make more staircasey kind of connections and letting everything that can breathe, breathe. And this way, perhaps I shouldn't have chosen this deep, deep blue as a color to explain this problem. Okay. So this is a different thing. This break will never look at anything else like some sort of jagged piece of plastic. A lot of old video games though do this, this sort of banding. I like my solutions. Not everybody does, but I just be cognizant of this effect. Moving on quickly. Lucas Godoy. I'm very sorry. Please tell me how to pronounce your name. These are very professional, lovely. I'm not sure about this glow, but like we can look at every single one of them. I love this cuphead, trombone. I think about her often. They're all good. They're all amazing, actually. I do think you're a little bit too soft with certain things, and I can pick one up. You tell me, which one of you would you like for me to pick and put in the Pixel program? And we'll do some heavy duty. Yeah, we'll do some heavy duty, remove banding, clarify. But in terms of like, you're already a pro pixel artist. You don't need me to help you make money, but I can help you have some fun with art if you want. Oh, I wanna work on this one. Anyone you want. We can do. Huh. I think this would be a good challenge because the hair, the soft hair, and all this. We may find some solutions. But beautiful, gorgeous sprites. You can work. This is now this pulled my eye a little bit. Anyway, but you certainly you can get some work like this and grow. So we'll talk about it next time. A particular sprite if you want. his. There's some stuff I really love about this. I love this broken edge stuff. I love this. It's so graphic style, like I'm talking about like rendering, like with ink. It reminds me of the Dmitry stuff we talked about a little bit. Yeah, you do suffer a little bit from a feeling of flatness for all the volume work that you've done here. This feels a little bit. I don't know. I would have to touch it and change it to see if I can change the problem. I'm not sure where it stems from. So I would like to look at this problem of flatness. Otherwise, this is an odd, cool character. This looks a little bit flat as well. With a cool new technique inspired by certain things, but certainly I haven't seen this big and this prompt, like this look at me. Yeah. It doesn't work very well with smaller details when I would want to pointillize this whole thing. Here you're doing more pixel art work, here you're doing more graphic design work. Where do the two meet? How can you get rid a little bit of the flatness? Perhaps it's just flood filling this with black. Only one way to find out next time. Looks beautiful though. I want to know the story. So, well done. This is a beginner, they told me, called Phantom Corridor. Phantom Corridor. They told me that this is some of the first work and that they did the line art, then filled it in. And it looks beautiful, and I like the character. It's one piece, right? But yes, there is a next step after doing outline work and filling it in and a little bit of cell shading, and we can talk about what that is next time. But it's a good character. I immediately read the pose. I don't know the character, but I read all the parts that make him what he is or they are. Yeah, I don't have to gender this. So let's talk a little bit about next baby steps with pixel art, like getting rid of some banding, darkening some outlines. You may have seen me do this before, so you can get a head start, but the banding especially, and unifying our palette a little bit. This is PNG, so I'm going to mess with it next time. My friend the Reaper. Hi, my friend the Reaper. This is beautiful and very coherent and clear what it is like. I can immediately tell this is where we're headed. I know you're not done, probably, but I have a little bit of a sense of difficulty with this horizon line that terminates here with this little up. It kind of flattens the field, and I'm not sure why, and would need to mess with it a little bit to see why. Perhaps this straight up cloud terminating exactly at the horizon line is not helping us. I suspect we may need to brighten the water as we go towards the horizon line, which means do some work on this part to solve that flatness. But we'll talk about it more next time. It's good you're using all the right things. Your sample size of certain things is a bit big. What I mean by that is like, okay, I'm going to make a wave. This is a sample. You could have made it smaller and repeat it, or you can make it bigger. Some places looks like your samples are a little bit fat and big, but that can be an issue of style. But we look at this stuff and then we go, oop, here, and this is dense and detailed and well, detailed but dithered. So how can we see things at that distance so vague here? Which is good. It means like detail is omitted for distance, but here we get dither. You know what I mean? Clarify, simplify. Another little problem that we'll talk about next time is this is your key color, this is your highlight. They are competing. What is the key color? Simplify, clarify. If you want a highlight, keep it smaller than the key color that you're using. These are very, very rough. Like, I'm giving you a butcher's take on what it takes to make art, but there are some kind of like basic concepts that I can introduce you here next time with a bit more detail that you would gain from. I love the picture though. It looks like a video game, right? We will quest in this world, I suppose. Hello, Marco SS Noguera. Marcos Noguera. I'm terribly sorry. Tell me how to pronounce your name. It is a cute character. I read the parts. I like the face. I like the nose. Not sure about the gun. We can work on the gun. This is one of those that I'm gonna just go in and show you pixel tricks and work on it next time, or perhaps the third time from now. Similarly, Enmoth, I love the character. Mina likes the character sitting next to me. We could use work the tail a little bit. The buck teeth don't work as they are right now. We need to. Secret of Neem. We need to work a little bit on the relationship of these pixels, but it's cute, and I love the shifty-eyed look. I was looking at this before, and I want to put a little bit more of a accentuate the cape, perhaps balance the character a little bit. We can do a lot of stuff with this, but I don't want to do too much and just overwhelm you. So next time we look at it together, I'll try to do the first steps that you saw on this video, like get the palette in order, clarify some shapes, take a lot of the detail out, push around some elements until we get the right character. And you'll see, if you go through the steps with me, that you can do these steps as well, and you'll get better results than me because this is your own art. But it's so cute. We'll talk about it more next time, or next time. Signor Socket. Did I write your name correctly? Perhaps I mistyped it from when I got it. But what does it mean? Cute character. I love the choker. I love the. I'm getting a little bit of a. You come from a Sonic the Hedgehog fandom perhaps at one point. It's not a bad thing. I love Sonic. I'm just getting the smirk in the eyes and the relationship of the elements. You have very few colors, which I like. We're going to do some work together on this at a different point of maximizing your bang for your buck in terms of like 1, 2, 3. I think it's just 3 colors. Yeah, we can do some interesting things. I like the character. I like the vibe. I wonder if you want to keep. There's a few more colors. Yeah. Okay. So do you want this to be 1, 2, 3, or do you want this extra color and this extra color? Let me know and I'll tailor the feedback accordingly, because you can certainly do it with these two, 1, 2, 3, and we can perhaps buffer this with another on the outside, but I don't really think you need any darker ones. Think about it and let me know. And then shawarma, hopefully, let me know. This is actually quite interesting. Let me look at it a little bit. So we've got an interesting effect here where things that are like somehow there's because it's the mirror image, of course, but like the shapes you've made in the clouds play in an interesting way with the shapes. There's some zigzag diagonals that you're following. We can push that a little bit more and clean up the technique a little bit, but like it's beautiful and kind of organic, but also something mathematical about the implication here. I think you've captured a really nice scene, and you can take some of the noise out and kind of like everything you put down, put it with intention and get it to be stellar. And we'll try to work on it together perhaps a little bit next time. Walter Gomez. Cute, beautiful, wears a little character. Some banding here we can solve together. This line, very regular. Like if it's a video game, shouldn't tiles show a little bit of their shape here? But we'll talk about that. The tree is cute. It's like it's ice cream. I want to put it in my mouth, but these highlights perhaps we can work on. This is, I think, beekeeper hive. Let me know if I got it. Some interesting color choices. Pixel artist learning a new craft. I love it. Some places you need to add more hierarchy of shapes. Like this is good. 3, 2, 1. This is a standing on its own. You've got a few. These cut out of the shape. Small things. These speculars perhaps could be 2s. Nice little house. Nice palette. You're getting there. Lovely. I'll give you more feedback later. And perhaps a little overpaid. And lastly, but not leastly, Vanguard, J. I love that this is like obviously a little Pokemon growing. I love this stage. You've got so little space that we're going to have to do some hard work if we want to clarify some shapes and get some outlines colored in and make something symmetrical. But this is such a cute creature. I already want to play with this creature, and like it seems so strong. So you make me excited and happy like a child looking at the art. That's good. We'll talk about the background a little bit as well, perhaps. But have you done any stuff that isn't so small? Have you tried to solve a little bit bigger problems to see that? Because I think you're getting experience at this level, and you're probably going to make a game with these little Pokemons. So you're going to keep this style, but I would want you to do some a little bit higher resolution pixel art as training to then return to your smaller stuff. But we can talk about that at a different point. So let's take a good look at all of them together again and enjoy the fact that 2 weeks ago I didn't know that any of this existed, and now I'm enriched. My life is enriched by looking at them closely. Some more closely than others, I'm sorry, but I will return to your art at a second session, potentially even a third, but I think a second good long session will probably cover a lot. Although I think like I already gave some feedback to the lightning round that I may have to go back and kind of like flesh out more in detail, but you got something now. I hope that's okay. Anything else I should talk about now before closing off for this session? Tools. You saw me use a tool that has extra functionality than perhaps the tool you use to pixel. Don't be afraid of learning a tool all the way through. I use Promotion because many years it was the best option on PC for Deluxe Paint extension, so to speak. I don't want to say clone because Promotion does more than clone Deluxe Paint, of course, at this point. Sprite is an industry standard. I don't use it, but I'm certain everything I do can be done there. Tools matter in that sense to free your hands and to give you more time to work on the art instead of messing around with an interface. So if you get from this that you need to be a little bit more serious about your tools, how your palettes work, how you set up a piece, how you control the bit length, all these things. Many different programs can offer you these options. I hope there is a free option out there. I use Promotion as a paid user for a long time, but I hope there is a free pixel art option for everybody out there that does all these things. Tools aside, I talked about this in the beginning, and I think that's a good way to close again. Um, Sometimes, well, I've been part of the pixel art scene for a very long time, and sometimes pixel artists fight, or they say mean things to each other, or they say you're not good and I'm good, or they say learn to pixel, or they give you patronizing advice and all that. Sometimes people protect their school of thought about pixel art, and sometimes it's bad, seen click behavior from 10, 15 years old years ago that we allowed to germinate and be part of an art scene. I wanted to say that I think that's a good way to close, and this is in the spirit that I do all this critique. There is no bad pixel art. There is no correct way to make art. It comes from the heart. And every time we fight, I plead you to think about the fact that we've all sat on a computer for a very long time, placing pixels on a digital canvas, and I like to imagine that that digital canvas is connected, that we're all placing pixels together. We may not notice each other always, or we work alone, but we're all doing it together. So in my point of view, there's little time left for this world to go in a better direction. So it might go in a bad direction. So for the time we have left, let's try to love each other more and help each other more and not become obstacles for each other. There's not much left to gain by stepping on other people's corpses in this industry or any other industry. Work will rapidly become reconfigured in the future. Like, don't be desperate. We're making art. Art should come from the soul. So when we place pixels and we do it with love, we do it with love for everybody else. Yeah. And when you look at other people's work, even though you may have a lot of immediate thoughts and opinions, keep in mind that some of those thoughts and opinions are a projection of what you desire about your own art and your insecurities. Actually, let me turn that around. My opinions about what other people's art have a lot to do with my own insecurities and my own projections about what I want to achieve with my own art. Sometimes it's useful to take a moment and, as you look at people's work, as I'm looking at it now, reflect on that. For them, this is a big, every piece we're looking at is a big um, investment, not just in time and work, but also in spirit. These things mean a lot to the artists that made them. So keep that in mind when you give feedback to other people. I had to learn this not the hard way, actually. I was very privileged, but I had to learn this over years, that just because you're helping somebody to get better doesn't mean you treated their art with enough respect in the way to help them get better. I'm trying to get better at this, and I hope we can uh, all together, everybody's watching this, make a little bit of a difference on how we talk to each other and how we help our fellow pixel artists. Okay, helm out. I think that's a good first session. My girl made me some breakfast, and it's looking at me. So I hope this was a good experience for the people whose art I went into more detail in, and a good experience for the people whose art I went faster over. But I will make up for it later. Give me feedback. Let me know what I could do better. If anything wasn't clear. Sadly, if you tell me to ramble less, that's going to be very hard for me. But that aside, I am very open to your feedback and your criticism to become better as an educator or as a friend. Yeah, a pixel friend. See you soon.